Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Basil Constantine. I'm here from the ACU Online Writing Center, and today we're going to be talking about how to format and cite figures in APA style. And we're going to take an approach that we do periodically where we want to show off different resources and ways of understanding things without the potential barriers of the slide medium. And so we're going to start today by looking at a particular assignment, and then we'll talk about some of the things there, talk about some of the resources that explain how to access those things, and then finish with how those would actually look in practice in a Word document. Or to put it another way, we're going to start with the actual course assignment, talk about the ways to make it real, and then actually do those things in a Word document. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our sample assignment today. So for formatting and citing figures in APA style, an example of how this might come up is in the Story of Christian Spirituality course. This is BIHO 432. And if we go ahead and look at their week 4 assignment 1 Recollections Project, we see that this assignment asks that you to create an artifact that is representative of a repeated theme. And this is going to be something in the reading, something has resonated with you, and it's actually quite open in the type of medium that you might be using here. Now, one of the emphases here is that in APA style, when you are introducing something to the reader, you should either capture it in the document or provide them with a means of accessing it. And we're speaking generally here in the sense of a undergraduate or a master's level course paper, perhaps a doctoral assignment, as opposed to a dissertation research project where you might have transcripts and things like that that wouldn't be getting published. But let's say that you were working on anything on this list here. So if you have, let's say, a piece of 2D or 3D art in any medium, so this could be something that you drew, that you created on the computer, something else, well, then it can be graphically represented through a picture or a figure. And so let's go ahead and take a look at APA Style Central and see what they show there. So I've loaded up the APA Style Central website, and that is, as you can see from this URL at the top, just apastyle.apa.org. And so when you go ahead and scroll down, you'll see reference examples, and then a larger all topics. So if you're not sure where something would be, all topics is not a bad place to start because it gives us this large list that is easy to search. And so if we were looking for figures, as we're discussing here, then we can head down here. And so there are different ones to describe different things, but let's look at some examples because examples help make things very real. Now, in this case, let's say we're taking this illustration here, examples of stimuli used in experiment 1. And you can see it's introduced as this label, figure 4. So this is the 4th figure in the document. They're numbered in the order that they appear. We have the descriptive title here, examples of stimuli used in experiment 1. And then we see the image there. Now, it doesn't matter as far as APA style is what it is pictured there. This is the same formula that we're going to use to describe that. So if you chose to have one or more pictures of the art, even if the art is in 3 dimensions, your pictures will capture it as an image that you can present here or multiple images that you include here. And then if it was the first one in the document, you would name it figure 1, bold that, give a description like, in this case, let's say a sculpture depicting the agony of Saint Teresa of Avila. And then you have a picture of her statue here. Great. That's all that you need for something like that. Series of photographs. In most cases, you would number these as individual ones. Now, if it was something like you had a collage of photographs or say 12 arranged in a series in the spiral with arrows in between them, then you might collect that under 1 and call it figure 1, figure 2, etc. A game, that's going to depend a lot on how it is accessed, how it appears, how it is depicted. So if this is something where, say, you're playing the computer fantasy role-playing game Baldur's Gate 3, and you dressed your character as the thing you want to depict, or took a screenshot in battle that you thought was representing that, again, you can convert that into what APA style recognizes as a figure and do that. Now, let's say instead of taking a screenshot, you went ahead and recorded a video. Then it would be the same way that you would cite a video here. We'd want to make it retrievable. For example, you could post it to YouTube. Doesn't have to be a public link. Could be a private thing where you need a direct link. And going back to APA Style Central, to our examples here, if we're looking for references, then we have a set of reference examples here. And if we go to audiovisual media, you'll see that there's actually a specific way for describing YouTube and other video sources. And so you can see that we'd be linking to a video with a channel name, the date that it was posted, title of the video, a note saying it is a video, and on the YouTube platform, and then the link to that. And that's all you need if you were including a video. Now, blog or website, okay, so if it's any sort of web page that has non-multimedia content, well, we have a way of citing the websites as well. Now, assuming you are not running a whole news website on your own, if it's just a blog, then you have a format here for citing the blog that you posted to. And there also are general web page citation systems. So if we just do a search on this page for web, you see this note here, which is an important one. When selecting a category, use the web pages and websites category only when a work does not fit better within another category. So that is why if you have a video on YouTube, for example, we want to use the YouTube reference formatting, not just the regular website one, because the YouTube one is more specific. So as we see here under online media, it could be something you post to Facebook, and there's a way for formatting that to link to that specific post. But if you just have some other website that you have created, you might be using this format here. And probably if it's just on a website that you've created, it would be a website with an original site with an individual author, and then you would cite this, but you would be the author here. Whatever you called your website would be there, and so on and so forth. Now, let's go back to that assignment here. So we have a song or piece of instrumental piece. Okay, well, we were talking about audiovisual earlier. So YouTube is a great example there. Easy way to post it. You don't even need to have video there. You can just have black, and that will still be an easy way for people to access that. This is more about published musical scores. You could include, if you wrote up a musical score, a lead sheet, you could include that as a figure. But if it's just an audio file, there are other ways to make it available. But again, you probably just do YouTube for simplicity. Upcycle project, so that's saying you're reusing some previously created materials and repurposing them. So these are all possibilities. Now, the next part, and this is where we're going to start moving into specific examples in Word, the next part deals with the written interpretation. And so let's go ahead and we're going to look up an example as if you had created this. So there are many artworks that are being created in inspiration from the works of the mystic Saint Teresa of Avila. But let's go ahead and look at a particularly noted one. So this is the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. This is a sculpture and installation by the Baroque sculptor Bernini, who, among other things, designed a number of monuments in Rome. And you can see that this is a very elaborate piece of both marble, and let's go ahead and look at this. And you can see there's the sculptures, there's the metal, there are the sun rays in gold. And so there's a lot to be discussed here. Now, you're probably not going to be uh, creating something quite so elaborate. This was a major commission from an artist at the height of their creativity. But let's say that we're using this as a sample reference here, because that will help make some things more clear and explicit. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's grab a copy of our APA course paper template. So here you can see on the Online Writing Center website under Resources APA 7, I've gone ahead and so there's the general undergraduate paper template, and then a larger one that has material that you might use if you're a graduate student. In our case, we're going to use the undergraduate template. And you might be asking, what is the difference? Well, undergraduate papers, excepting maybe some senior assignments, generally don't require an abstract. So this omits the abstract page that is part of the template that you might see in a graduate assignment. So we're going to go ahead and download this as a Word document. And if we go ahead and look at that now, so we have this blank document here, and you'll want to go ahead and replace these placeholders with your own information, of course. But for our purposes, we're going to start looking at the particulars here. So first, if you just paste the image that you take, something from your camera, for example, we are going to want to resize it so it fits within the page margins, so it fit within a page. And then if we go back to the early example, we would see that we need to introduce this as a figure. Now, in this case, the actual thing is a piece created by Bernini in the 17th century. In our illustrative example here, we are going to treat it as if you had created it. Now, here we want this information to be formatted as a figure label. And so if we look in this menu to the side, we don't see that. That's fine, because if you're doing an undergraduate paper, you're generally not going to have terribly many figures. So we can just bold that manually, just like you saw that I manually italicized that. And so one of the general APA rules is that you should introduce and discuss figures. Now, we also want this to be flush left with the margin, so we can select these three things, and we're going to remove that tabbed indentation here. So how would we introduce this? Well, let's go back and take a look at the instructions for this assignment. So returning to the APA Style Central website, we see bolded, italics, and what we don't have here are an introduction. Sometimes there'll be a note there if there's something that needs to be explained, but the general convention, and the general convention, I would say, is a good thing to follow, because there's actually a rule corresponding to that in the APA manual in this section. Is that you should introduce a figure before it appears in the document. So that's why we'll go ahead and say, okay, figure 1 shows, or figure 1 depicts. And now if we look at the assignment instructions here, we see we have some specific things that are supposed to be asked. To identify the theme as it appears in the main primary sources, be specific and gives example from the primary sources. Okay. So here I have an example from the Letters of St. Teresa, where she refers to this passage. I know not if it be St. Augustine who says that the Spirit of God passes without leaving any mark, like an arrow which leaves none in the air. And then we have this increasing discussion about the sun whose rays give heat, and yet the sun is not seen. Well, this painting, or sorry, this statue is showing the sun rays being made visible. So in our case, so I'm going to take this source here. So it's a website. I've got that link. And where people often lose points in something like this is they'll just include the link. But there's actually a book that has been transcribed and put online. And so we'll want to reflect that in our document here. So here, if we go down to the references section, we're going to go ahead and add some information here. So again, don't just put this URL. We need the rest of the information as well. Now, we could just paste things in there. We wouldn't get it in APA format though. So we're going to go ahead and start with this. So what would you use there in the attribution? Well, there are a couple ones where, but because it's a period where many people did not use family names, one way that you'll sometimes see that written is like that. And then we have the translator there. And so the question is, how does this get represented? Now, it turns out that APA Style Central has not just example references, like here were some for classical and religious sources, but they also have a style blog where they explore different topics here. And so we can see if you were dealing with a journal article, a chapter in a book republished in translation. And this is an excellent opportunity where we're going to talk about something that I alluded to earlier. Often you will see that people will include something like this, but actually we want to have, Saint is actually not part of the name. That would be Teresa of Avila, or depending on the edition, it might say de Avila, but we're going by what's in there. So T, and then we have 1902 as our year of publication. And then this will be in sentence case. And per our example here, if we look at the website, we see that we have the translator listed there right after. So that's great. Again, we don't include Reverend because that's a title, it's not the name. And then in this case, we no longer include the publication year, the publication city, just include the name of the publisher, which unhelpfully is actually the name of an individual here. So it can make it look a little odd. But we now have a full citation here. And so we can adapt this here. And if it was published, and this is, you're making it available somewhere else. So in this case, if you were, say, having a music video, you would use a citation to show the music video. In this case, we're just describing what inspired this. And then when you are dealing with an online source, there's a question of whether, if it came from a book originally, is this something where it has retained the original, or the original pagination, or is it something where it has gone ahead and lost that or converted it, so we just would be counting paragraph numbers instead. So in this case, we have the page numbers have been somewhat retained. Now, if we go back to the this here, we'd see this section, we are actually not getting this in great detail. So we have to go with this edition. We're going to letter number 31 and discounting paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We count the quotation as 1, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, counting back, 16, 15, 14, 13, paragraph 13. All right, so back to our Word document. So we can't have page. But we can do this because this identifies a unit within it. So with letter 31, paragraph 13. And in this case, it would be helpful to have that actual text there. So let's go ahead and quote that. And so what this gives us is we have the reference to a figure that's going to appear in the document. And then in this case, we're including the text that inspired it. There it goes at the end of the paragraph. And then we have a full APA citation that is keyed to this reference entry here. All right, let's take a look back at the assignment instructions now again. So the written interpretation of your artifact should be no fewer than 500 words. First, you should identify the theme as it appears in the main primary sources that inspire the creation of your artifact. Then you will explain why you chose to create your artifact. Finally, reflect on what contemporary relevance this theme may have. And so a good exercise to do here is to go ahead and paste those instructions into your document so you have them as a reminder of the things that you should be writing about. So you say, okay, we identified that primary one. Now we have the next process to explain why we chose this. Now, if we're looking at this, we have the gold rays in the background. We're not talking about the other elements yet. We'll get to some of those. So here we have some sentences that are responding to contemporary relevance and society at large. And you don't have to have that just be one sentence. You could go ahead and say, this is particularly true in today's world. Now, that question of what adjustments or explanations might be needed, well, again, it's an opportunity to look at the thing you have created and think about why. Uh, Now, when you mention something like this, it'd be helpful to give a specific example. So you could certainly go to YouTube and say, grab a video on, say, wood turning. Oh, let's go ahead and get one of those actually. So I have here a video that I found about wood turning and 4 hours of wood turning in 45 seconds. Now, this is a thing that people often have trouble with because they're not sure how to get the full information. But in this case, we can go ahead and we can click on the username there, and that will bring us to their channel. And this is a short. And so you can look for that particular video here. And if we don't find it immediately, we can do a search using this, and we see, oh, there we are. There's the example. And now, even though it is a short, it is presented in the same fashion as a longer YouTube video. And we can see, oh, okay, we have Henry Kate Carpenter Schwartz. It's the name of the channel. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the references list. We also have the date that this was released. Now, we don't see that immediately. We have to click on that or mouse over, and you can see that we have now visible December 4th, 2022. You also saw when my mouse was over that box showed up in gray with that information. That's fine. We've got that now, so that'll also get added. And then we have the title here, 4 hours of wood turning in 45 seconds. And the title does actually include the hashtag. And then this is a YouTube video. So we'll have video in square brackets, and we'll grab one additional piece of information. And then that is the link here. Now, you'll often get a long link. So if you select this and copy, that's fine. Share, that will give you that. Embed, that would be if you wanted it on a website. Don't do that. You just need the link here. And so now if we go back to our Word document, we have just the URL there to fill in. And now we have, you can see, title of the channel, the date it was released, title of video, including hashtag there, that it is a video, that it's on YouTube, and then a link there. And then if we are going to be citing this, for example, we go up here, and here we need the name of the channel, and it's from 2022. And so we're not just saying because of prevalence, I'd say the prevalence of popular making of, because it turns out this video, you might not think that wood turning is necessarily a hit topic, but hey, they have almost 1.5 million views, and they have more than and 750,000 subscribers there. That's a lot. So as you can see, as we go back to our document here, that you can use references not just to the materials that inspired your artwork, but also to things that will give them context. So I think we've talked through all those things here. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. So you are, of course, always welcome and encouraged to visit the ACU Online Writing Center for help with your writing tasks. We are available through email appointments and Zoom appointments. You can sign up for 2 one-hour appointments per week. If it's an email appointment, you upload your paper for the appointment. We look at it and send you feedback within 24 hours of the appointment time. For a Zoom appointment, you sign up for an appointment. Right before the appointment, you log into ACU Online and you'll see a Zoom link to click on to open to get to your appointment. And then you get your feedback right there. You can go to our website, especially to see our resources on APA style. You can visit the APA Style Central website or get a physical copy of the APA manual. And you can always send us an email at onlinewritingcenter@acu.edu. We have questions that we field every day about citations and references and things like that. So don't worry, if it's something you have a question about, just send us an email. All right, that's it. Hope to catch you later.